Yay. All right, so it's officially recording. Hopefully, everybody that can't make it can jump on later and watch it and be good to go. Like you're right here. But welcome and welcome to those that are on. I'm sure some other people will hop on too. I'm going to send out a little email, but I'm going to go through a few just small things as we kind of go. There's a ton of stuff in this whole course, but today we're just going to kind of go through a few of the basics and dive into a little a little bit of the details, and then we'll dive into more over the next few weeks for sure. So thank you guys all for being here. I'm super excited. This is like my favorite thing ever to talk about. I could just talk talk about Mustangs all day long, I think. So hopefully I don't do that. But I want you, if you want to write in the comments or later, I'm going to post this on YouTube. If you want to write on the YouTube video, kind of like what your goal is for all of this, or if you want to write them now in the chat, you can write it in the chat, kind of what your goal is for Mustangs in general, or just this program. Maybe you're not even doing it for the Mustangs. Maybe you're just kind of doing it for a different horse, but kind of with that Mustang mindset. I have a lot of people that come for that. So, I'm just gonna type join the live call now. Okay, cool. So yeah, I started with, I wanted to know all about the Mustangs. I wanted to see if I could train one. I wanted to see, I knew there was like this government incentive, so I thought it was really cool that the government was like trying to get people interested in Mustangs. And I was just like, how does this work? Like, how, I don't know, why are they trying to get people to do it? Like, I just had so many questions, and I found my first Mustang and I went and rode her and I immediately fell in love. And I was just like, yeah, this is perfect and everything I want to learn more about. So I just started doing it more and more and learning more and more and researching and like adding things to this document. And over the last few years, it's kind of evolved into what it is now. So that's kind of my background. I haven't been doing this for 100 years. I don't know everything about it. So I'm not like an expert, but I am a good resource base for all the experts that I see in my eyes that are experts that have been doing this forever, 20 years, and are part of the process or are part of the government that actually know the ins and outs and know all the updates of things that are going on. So I put this all together so that hopefully this will give you a good starting point to kind of dive deeper. And then there's all these resources in the course that will hopefully kind of lead you to wherever you want to be led next. There's all sorts of different paths when it comes to Mustangs, so you never know kind of where you're going to end up. But all right, I'm just sending this email out right now, and then we will get to everything. So as far as the actual course, this is the first kickoff call. This one's free for everyone. This is just going to be like a question and answer, and then it's going to be 3 weeks long. When you go inside the course right now, you see kind of like a welcome to, how to join the Facebook group. So everyone can join that if you want to join that. I just post all sorts of like great information from other trainers and Mustang owners and just things that I come up with in my own training. And I just put everything there. So if you want to chat with other owners, they're all on the Facebook group. And then you'll see like what we're going to talk about a little bit today of the mission and stories from other horse owners. But then you'll see basically every single thing that I did with my competition Mustang last summer. And we'll start to go through those videos, especially when it comes to the calls. You'll kind of watch a few of the videos, and then when we get to the next call, you'll probably have all these questions about what I was doing in this video or that video or why I did certain things. So that's kind of how it's going to go. It's 3 weeks long. There's 2 more calls. So if you have questions along the way, you can kind of save them up, or you can message me and then ask them on the calls. And then we can just kind of like dive deep into everything on the calls. And then all the videos will be there forever. You'll have it for lifetime access, so you don't have to worry about watching every single video right now. You can take your time and do it over time. But I just kind of want to give you on this first call a very beginning idea of how this all got started in my mind and what I've come to know as like the real truths of what's going on in this business and in this industry with Mustangs and how to really connect with them instead of just, dominating them and being like this old cowboy that's just gonna like rope this horse and take control of it. I knew there was better ways, and so I kind of wanted to see how the Mustang world did that. So well, let's dive into everything. Does anybody have any questions yet or anything that they want to share or say yet?
I like the idea of working with them instead of the old like Marlboro Man image of going out there and just exhausting the horse until its spirit's broken and then it just, you know, walks with you. It's, kind of you're partnering with the horse. You're building a relationship. You're not crushing it to work with you. It's another animal. It's another spirit. It's not just a tool.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I feel like every training I've done when I was younger was just so much like just be the boss and, dominate the horse. And I just never really felt great about that. So I'm glad that there's so many more horse people like opening up to that and sharing about what they do differently because it's just so much more. You feel so much more supported when you have people around you that aren't just yelling at you about things. So that's really nice.
I feel like you get more of a relationship with the horse than if you have that kind of a relationship instead of just treating it like a lawnmower because they're going
Yeah,
to work better with you because
for
they feel
sure.
that connection. They're not going to feel scared. They're not going to feel confused. They're not going to be frustrated. And
Yeah.
they're going to know that they can trust you.
Yeah. All right, so let's dive into some of the content. We're going to go through it a little bit quick today, and I'll just kind of do the highlight points, but then in the course, you can see a lot more of the full thing. And most of the stuff I'm going to talk about today is in the free course. So if you're watching this free and you've just joined like on social media or through a different way, there's actually a free course that's the few main points of what we're going to talk about today. And then the full course is like a deep dive into training a horse for a whole like 6 months. So this today is mainly just the problem, but if this call is just like the points of that, the bullet points. So if you really want to dive deeper and really do the research and click more links and stuff, you can go and sign up for that course. That one's on my website and you can just kind of go through it at your own pace. But mainly the problem of all of this is that there are these wild mustangs that are out there and there's controversy as to whether horses have been here in America forever or just sometime or whatnot. But as far as I'm concerned, I go by the fact of like there was horses, there's horse bones here in the dirt long ago, so there was horses like on the planet and in this area. But as far as the horses that we have right now on the lands, those are completely wild horses that they have been brought from Europe and from Mexico and from different places and been basically let go from other people, and now they're all over the place. There's like the numbers go up all the time because the herds double every 5 years. The herds double out there because every boy horse just breeds as many girl horses as they can find to breed with to try to just keep their legacy alive. So it's not just like a pairing up, it's just like a crazy multiplier. All the girl horses are pregnant every year and it's just this crazy chaos out there, and there's not enough land really. So you'll see like a lot of the like in the movie Spirit, a lot of people have watched that movie, and at the very end where it's like the train track is being built and he sees like, oh, they're going to take over all my land, and like the train is going to where my herd is and they're taking over everything. And the sad part of that story is that that's kind of just the beginning of everything. We then took over everything. We put train tracks everywhere. Then we put highways everywhere. Then we put houses everywhere. So the land that's in that movie like has been shrunk. So people try to blame it on the cow herders or whatever, or they just say, oh, there's all this land, we should just let them live. And it's just not the truth. And people need to know that like the land is getting smaller and smaller. The population of humans is growing. And so we need to feel like there's a sense of responsibility here because maybe not us personally, but our ancestors let these horses go to try to, live on the lands. But it's our job also to take good care of them, I think, and to not just let them starve to death or fight each other over food and have this horrible life out there or die of dehydration because there's hardly any water. So the big problem is that they just keep multiplying and multiplying. And what the government has done is rounded them up and put them in these smaller holding pens where it's basically just a big arena. They put like 100 horses in there and they let them sit. They put hay there every day for them. They have big water troughs, so they have unlimited water. They geld them, so they run them through these panels, and the panels get smaller and smaller until they're basically right beside them, and then they kind of squeeze the panels really close to each other. They have one that's like at the very end that the panels mechanically squeeze the horse together, and they then can give them injections in their neck for medicine, or they can trim their feet if they need to. They can actually tip that table on its side a little bit and do their feet if they need to. They can geld them, they can put them, sedate them, and then open up one side and geld them and do all these other things that they can do, and it keeps them safe and it keeps them healthy. So I am absolutely for roundups. It's hard because there's these photographers that have been watching, these herds for so long, and they love these horses and they don't want to see them gathered up and maybe put into the hands of not the best people, because that does happen. Not everybody is this amazing person with millions of dollars to do everything for their horse. So it does happen. Everything's not perfect. So, and the roundups in the past have used helicopters mostly to kind of like herd the horses closer and closer to the traps that they have. But now they use a lot different methods. Sometimes most of the time now use water traps where they'll just put like a bunch of water out. And then when the horses come to drink the water, they'll basically just close the fence around them. So that's more humane. The helicopters do make them nervous and make them run towards the trap. So people get really like not feeling good about that, which I can totally understand, but it's for the good of the herds overall. So I really feel like it's needed, and you can't get horses in there to be riding along with them. You can't get ATVs in there to be going up and down these mountains. It's just not feasible. So there's a lot of things that people just don't really think about, and they just complain about the government and how horrible it is, when really the government is spending, I think, about 65, can't remember, there's the exact number in here, somewhere around 65% of their budget they're spending on feeding and taking care of these horses, and they're supposed to manage all of this land like everywhere. So there's a lot more that they need to do. It's not just about the horses, and they have to do what they can do. So the best thing I think is to round them up. And there's been a lot of controversy about what they do once they round them up and how they get them into the hands of good people. And that's kind of where we're at with the problem right now. I think a lot of people are accepting of the roundups, but now it's just like, okay, now we've rounded up 60,000 horses and they're sitting in these pens, and what can we do with them? Like, how are we going to make sure that we really give them the best life that they deserve? So there's different ways that people have gone about it. There's sanctuaries, which are, probably most of you have heard of Skydog. That's a big one where they have taken in horses that are like completely wild, don't want to be touched, or have some health issue, or are just really old, or something's going on with them where they can't be in a normal barn setting, and they just need to be like out in a pasture enjoying their life, not dealing with humans. So there's all these sanctuaries that try to like fund themselves and try to become nonprofits and get donations and things like that to try as much as they can to keep the horse as wild as it can be and still be okay with getting vet care if it needs, or things like that. Some of the sanctuaries don't even do that, and they just let the horses go on their property. And I'm not really super for that, because what if they do need their feet done or shots or things like that? You can't catch them. There's a lot of things that they're just like they are in the wild, but it's not really, because we're bringing in diseases and all these things that they could possibly get. And it's our responsibility, I think, to be able to catch them and administer them medication if we need to. So sanctuaries, although they're great for Mustangs and they're like a great overall idea, I don't think they're the best idea. I think that they really just depend on a lot of donations, and a lot of them just don't end up getting it. And then they end up closing down and they have 20 horses that suddenly need to go somewhere. And it's just this whole big thing that I just feel like isn't the best solution long term. So the next thing that you can do basically is support a local barn or a local riding club or a local activity center, or there's a few here in Las Vegas. There's Horses for Heroes, places like that, where it's like you can bring your family and you can enjoy the property, you can enjoy the horses, and they are Mustang friendly. So you can ask them, do you have any Mustangs on your property? Are you open to, learning about Mustangs, or do you guys, get excited about Mustangs? There's a lot of people that are just kind of like anti-Mustang, like these horses ruin the barn and they're just not great horses. They are, so much trouble to learn and all this stuff. So they get a bad reputation and it's just unfair. And I think that if we can, as consumers, go out and spend our money when we're taking riding lessons and when we're learning about horses from people that are accepting of Mustangs, I think it's so much better in the long run for everyone. So if you're going to take a lesson or support someone or try to pay to help someone brush their horse or whatnot, you can find Mustang owners in your town or nearby you, and you can go help them. And I think that in general will help the Mustang world flourish, instead of trying to like find all these problems with it and try to work on solving the problems constantly. And then the best thing I think that you can do is adopt or get your own Mustang, which is like my favorite thing. And that's what I'm trying to inspire people to do. And that's what I wanted to do. So that's what I did. There's different ways that you can get a Mustang. You can get one that's already been trained and that's already been through the government system. The government holds the horse for a year basically, and you just have like an adoption paperwork. And then you get the official horse a year later. You get like the paperwork for the horse, and then you officially own it. So once you own it, you can sell it just like a regular horse. So you can get a Mustang that way that's already been trained, already knows everything, and you just have to like hop on and go have fun. Those horses are normally just like any other horse. They're pricing. What was that? Do you have any questions? You guys can feel free to like jump in anytime with your questions too, or you can write in the chat or anything you want to say along the way. Let me know. But there are so many different ways that you can adopt the Mustangs from the BLM if you want to do it that way, instead of just finding someone that that has a Mustang for sale, or one that you find online, like a regular horse. If you want to go straight to the government and do it from the government program, then you just have to be prepared that your horse is going to be a lot more. It's not going to be fully trained. It's not going to be this incredible horse that you just jump on and go. You're going to have to put a lot of work in, or you're going to have to work with a trainer with it to do that. But there are different ways that you yourself can get the incentive. So right now, the government's providing $1,000 incentive. So if you go personally to the holding pens and you pick up a horse, just as a private adopter, you have to fill out an application. You have to say that your space is going to be big enough. And then you just have to be there, pick up the horse, and they'll give you $500. And then after the year, you'll get your title paperwork. You'll officially own the horse, and they'll give you another $500. So that's a really cool program for people that really want to go and pick out their horse on their own and have a chance at getting those first touches and those first moments with a horse. It's really, really exciting. And a lot of people, that's what they do want the Mustang for. So they want to specifically go and do it themselves. Or you can have a trainer that comes to your facility or to your house and helps you with that. So that's really awesome to have and really cool to be able to do from the beginning. But I was still a little bit too intimidated. So I personally found one that was already trained and just bought that one. And then my next horse I wanted to get, but I wanted it to be somewhat trained. So what I did was I went to a TIP trainer, and TIP stands for Trainer Incentive Program. So basically what the BLM does is they partner with these trainers and they give the $1,000 to the trainer instead of the person. And so the trainer picks up the horse from the wild corral. They get the $500 or the $1,000. They have 90 days to have the horse be haltered, lead it around, and get it in and out of its trailer safely and be able to pick up all 4 of its feet safely so that it can have its feet trimmed. So once you can do that and you have 90 days to do that, then they have to find an adopter for that horse. And then they get the incentive money for doing that process. So there's all these TIP trainers all over, and you can see, I wonder if I can pull it up. I think I can. Let's see if it'll work. There's this page on the BLM's website, and you can become a TIP trainer, or if you want to see where all these trainers are, I'll just see if I can share my screen. Yeah, let's see. Oh, I think this will work. Security. Maybe not. I have to do all these special things on my computer to get it to work, I guess. So I don't know. But there's this website you can go to. And here, I'll just put the link in here. That will work at least. I'll put the link in the chat right now. No, chat. Oh no, it went away. Come back. Okay, so on this website that I just put in here, if you click on that and you scroll down a little ways, there's like a big map, and you can scroll in and out of your area and it will show you every TIP trainer that's in your area. So you can see there are a lot of people now that are doing this work and are becoming part of this thing, and you can get a horse from one of these trainers anywhere near you, and they have horses coming in all the time that are new, that are exciting, and that are safe for you, that you can actually train and, you know, further their training and start to build that connection without having that very first day one, like, might jump out of the pen wild experience. So that's what I did with my second horse, which is my now personal horse, Maverick. I got him from a TIP trainer, and sorry, I did not turn these notifications off. So, but I got him from a TIP trainer, and so he already knew how to do a few things, and then I took it from there onward. So that was really exciting. And then obviously, if you want, you can just adopt a Mustang all on your own by itself. So that's kind of the scariest one, but I think the most exciting. And that's kind of what I can help you do if you decide to do that, or if you get one from a TIP trainer. That's also exciting. So does anybody have any questions so far about kind of like the adoption process and being able to get a Mustang? Nothing yet?
No questions yet.
Okay. Well, if you guys do have questions,
I do have a question. Is that something that you're doing right now? Are you helping people train their Mustangs?
Yeah, so I have 2 clients right now that have Mustangs that I basically go to their house and help them kind of bond with their horse, figure out what the next goals are, and then complete those and help them. There's been like someone in the past that has got their horse from a TIP trainer. It was really well trained, and then Mustangs have a interesting way of kind of reading you better than any other horse, I think. And so they can read that that person isn't new or is new, that they're not a trainer, and they can just kind of take advantage of that. So they'll move, they'll act flighty. And then if you're nervous, then it becomes like this whole thing where they just kind of revert back to how they were when they first were with that trainer, and you have to start all over. So I've shown up to places where the horse acts completely wild and I have to start like it's day one all over again. But I was supposed to be there for, I think, 3 hours. And I was there for maybe an hour and 20 minutes before I could get the halter on. I was leading it around. I was taking it back off, putting it back on. So I was showing them, okay, they don't like their ears touched, but if you do it this other way, and then you do this, and then you do this, there was like a 15-step process to get the halter on the horse, where that's not the normal, but that's just kind of at that point how it had to be done. And then slowly over time, they got better and better at it. So it depends on the client and what their needs are. But yeah, sometimes I'll go like do a big thing all day, or sometimes it's like a weekly. My other two clients are just once a week. We go, we check in, and we're either getting ready to ride or we're already riding and we're working on different goals and stuff. Or if people have a totally new one, like for a competition or just adopted one on their own, then I can come, or I can even do like a virtual lesson where they just set their phone up and I tell them, oh, when you walk over there, it's getting nervous. Now take a step back. Okay, now go closer. And that really makes them feel like I'm right there and like they have a second pair of eyes on the situation and they're not just all on their own.
How long usually have the Mustangs been? I mean, it probably just depends on the scenario, but like if someone were to want to get one of these Mustangs, but they want to do it through a tip trainer, how long are they? I guess I'm just curious how long some of these Mustangs have been in the pens. Like some of them are probably older, I imagine.
Yeah, and when they're rounded up, they're all different ages too. So some of the ones that are, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be easier or harder too. It really depends on each different horse. And some of the herds are in certain areas where they're around more people, or they're way up in the mountains where they never see people. So some of them in general are just like better herds for communicating with humans and being able to be gentle and calm. So yeah, it really just depends. But I would say like 3 months is a good average time that you can build a good connection. And then as far as like for riding, I would say a year is a good time frame of like getting a completely wild horse and being able to get on its back and go riding. I would say the first 6 months, you're really building that connection. You're doing all these obstacles and teaching tricks and things like that. And then if you want to start working on the saddle, that's going to take another 3 to 6 months to really get them confident.
Thank you.
Any other questions right now? All right, well, I'll just go over a few other things, and then basically the rest of the course, that's where the free stuff, the rest of the free things are, and I'm not going to go too far into it, but once you actually get your horse home, the first thing you have to have is a decent sized pen for it. So there's on my course, there's different fencing options, and there's people that have had regular fence that you need a 6-foot fence for, so you need to extend it a foot. There's different ways that you can kind of put extenders on your fencing. So there's a lot of cool pictures in there. Every time I find a picture that I'm like, that's amazing, can I put that in my thing? Because there's so many different people that have different things that they've done that are so cool to see. So that's on there to make your pen good so that your horse doesn't escape. And then the hay, the grain, the supplements, I would say my main advice is just keep it simple, especially when you first get your Mustang home. You're going to want to give it all this stuff for its mane and its tail and its gut health and it's all this stuff. But Mustangs have been living for their whole lives on nothing but little sticks and little pieces of grass. So I would not go crazy with it. I would just keep it simple, stick with your good quality hay, add in, a supplement or two or a vitamin or something like that, but not go crazy with it. Just try to keep it simple. I have always done this with my Mustang and it's always worked out great. We've never had any problems. And then as far as like your first week home, there's a lot of videos in there about like the very first touches and just kind of like how to go about it. So that's kind of I would say homework for everybody in the full course, and anybody that wants to join that hasn't yet, you can jump into it. It's the next 3 weeks, but I would say that's where I would start, is that first week home, and all of the videos there are really like how to communicate with a horse without being that dominating person, and just really stay calm and stay relaxed and do things. Start to shift your mindset from like, I'm training this horse, to what can this horse teach me, and what parts of my life do I need to look at that's going to make me a better trainer, and that's going to make me able to see life from this horse's perspective, because that's what it really takes. I think that anybody that doesn't even know anything about horses can do this if they take these courses and they have this information. You don't need to know everything about horses. You don't need to have already been a horse trainer. There's people that do this all the time in competitions that have never had a horse before, that don't know what they're doing. And you get a horse, and it's about these first few days of really like understanding they're terrified, and you're like a cheetah coming into their pen and trying to like pet them and be friendly with them, and they're just like, it's gonna take time. So have the patience. Watch some of those videos of my first days with Rocky. Those are really awesome. My first days with Faith, I think, are in there. There's another Mustang I know that's in most of the videos. There's Rocky and then another one, but there's all sorts of different other videos. There's how they got like in the trailer from the BLM pens. That's a good one to watch. Maverick's the other one that's in there, of like the actual how I approach him and retreat when I first am starting to work with him. And then Stella is the other one that's in there that I really had a hard time getting the first touches with. I think it took me 26 days or something to get that first touch with Stella and really get her to be okay with me. So that's always interesting to kind of see how that ended up working out in the end with Stella and getting those actual first touches. So that's a really cool video to watch. So watch those first touch videos, at least I would say like the first week stuff, so that next call we can really dive into the training of the Mustang, and when you actually get them home, and I can start to say, did you see how with this horse I did this differently or this differently? And it really just takes that flexibility to just see each horse for what it is, and be able to see all these different types of horses and personalities and see what works, and then be able to kind of match it to whatever horse you get and remember these and be like, oh yeah, I remember when this happened or that happened, and then they did this, and I'm going to try this. And so it just gives you all these tools that you've never had before, just by watching these videos and seeing how these wild horses react. So I hope that you get excited about watching them, and just do it in your spare time when you're having fun and just relaxing at home. And yeah, the next call will be in a week. The thing is on the website, but I'll send out an email reminder, so you'll have all that. Is there any other questions about the process or bringing them home or the course in general that's going to be over the next few weeks?
I don't think so.
Yay. All right, well, message me if you have any other questions along the way. Otherwise, I will be on the next call, and this was super fun. Let me know if you guys have any other questions.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.